One of my favorite baits, especially in the summertime. Trout love eating croakers during spawning season. Got this one lodged in his mouth pretty good. There we go. Got that croaker X-Shad on a 5/16. We went over this last episode. Now when you know where those fish are gonna be, drop it down to a 5/16. Let that fall rate be a little slower. Trigger them strikes. Look at that. Not what we're looking for. That's why we're using the croaker X-Shad. Because croakers are starting to move into the lake. As we get more and more into the heat of the summer, that becomes a much more primary food source for nice speckled trout. So that's what we're trying to mimic this morning. We're gonna bounce around the lake, see if we can put a nice box of some good trout together. There's one right there. Oh, missed him. Wasn't a big one by no means. Little dinker right there. There's a little bit of life right here, it looks like. So just like last episode where we found a rock point, rock jetty on the other side of the lake this morning, same conditions, hard falling tide. We're hitting another little rock jetty, same exact situation where all of that water's getting pushed up into a corner. And then jetties, that's what makes them so great. Right on the tip, that water's wrapping around the point of it, and then fish are just sitting behind it, ambushing all of the bait that comes around the point. So I'm just kind of making a long cast up towards the point, letting that 5/16 take its time to get to the bottom. It's probably about 7 foot where I'm throwing. And just a nice little, there it was. Nice little subtle retrieve. Back to the boat. Right, another good one. We talked about this last time. We were fishing that other rock jetty with the finger mullet X-Shad. Angles is the key. So I was out kind of throwing at a different angle towards this buoy here. Didn't have a bite in the last 4 or 5 casts. Came and positioned the boat where I caught my first one at more of a totally different angle, more parallel with the shoreline, throwing perpendicular to the point, and bam, first cast, another nice trout. Oh, a little flat daddy. A little flat daddy. I will say this year, I've seen more and more flounders make their way back into the lake. This lake used to be one of the greatest flounder fisheries in the country. That one's a little small, let him go. But they've rebounded pretty good this year. I mean, they were borderline extinct in here for several years. Not really sure why, but this year we started seeing some nice flounder catches come. I'm really expecting a banner September, October this year, when that's really our flounder season. All right, guys, before we start fishing again, we're gonna leave that point alone, maybe hit it later. Caught a few off of there, but let it just settle down. But I want to re-spool. Got our Matrix Fluoro here, 15-pound test. Awesome line, I really like it. But I just wanted to show you the fastest way that I find to re-spool a bait caster. So I pulled all the line off except for the last like 10 feet. I'm simply gonna tie a knot to the old existing line. I'm gonna pull it right through this old line. I'm gonna pull it right off the spool. And what I'm doing here is now I don't have to thread it through each eyelet. I just pull it through. And then on these little, most bait casters now have these little holes in the spool, like little wiffle holes. I don't even tie it. I don't think you're supposed to, really. All I do is just push the line through there and then just start reeling. Because if you tie it, if you get that low to the spool anyway, you're gonna lose that fish, or you need to put more line on anyway. So when mine starts getting pretty low to where when I'm making a real long cast, I'm really seeing the last like 10 wraps of the spool, I simply put on a new batch of line, and like I said, I just push the little piece of the tip of your line, the end of it, right through the spool, and then just start reeling. And we back ready to go. While we're here, we might as well try the mouth of this bayou here. Now this is a little bit deeper. In the next couple spots we're gonna try are a little deeper, so I'm gonna switch it to the 1/2 ounce goldenized screw lock. The knot I tie as a polymer. You just fold it over, double it up, put it through there. Just tie your regular overhand knot, access loop, right? Put the lure through the access loop, and that's it. That croaker really pops on them screw lock jig heads. So I mean, it's just a fine product right there from matrixshad.com. Oh, that fresh line feels so good. It's nice and straight. I highly recommend re-spooling. I usually do it like every 2 weeks. Fresh line, man, it just really makes a difference on how you feel the bites and see the bites. Oh, there he was. It's good to have fresh line on there. A lot of people, you know, if you got braid, that's a different story. Braid lasts a long time. But when I'm using a little spool of fluoro or mono, I change it quite often. Same principle right here. I had a bite there, not saying it was a nice trout, I don't know. There's a fish, but coming right around that point, you can see that current pushing. That's kind of like what we're targeting here today, is little points or this hard falling tide we have. Oh, don't eat him. That one's going back. My dogs will light that thing up. But I'm throwing right into this current here. That was 2 bites pretty quick. Hopefully they got a few keepers in here. But that tide's pushing around this point, making an eddy behind it. I just can't tell you enough, like points, especially if they're rock points and hard tides. Oh, that's a keeper. That's a keeper. I hit him and just drag ripped out. Just drag ripped out. Whoa, buddy. Whoa. Oh yeah, there we go. There we go. All right, y'all can give that one a little lick. Hold on now, let me get some action on it. Beautiful right there. Same principle, a little bit deeper here, so I switched to a heavier jig head. Same principle though. Throw up on that point, let it sweep on back with the current. All right, what we have here on the setup is a big man-made canal system. This thing's only been here like 15 years, maybe 20. And I started fishing this right after Hurricane Katrina. And boy, this place was unreal. When it first got dug, and then Katrina hit a couple years later, and it shoved a tremendous amount of fish back here. I mean, some just giant trout and flounder. And what it is, it's big, deep, beautiful canals. And I'll go back up in them in the winter times. I'll find that those fish will push back up in these canals. But as we approach the summer, I find, and my theory is, what I see is fish like current in the summer. The current keeps the water cooler. And I like when I do catch a few this time of year as temperatures get warmer. Oh my goodness, that fish almost ripped the pole out of my hand. As temperatures get a little warmer, they'll come up to the fronts of here and they want to be in that current. And you can see that current kind of sweeping around the corner there. That's what they want. That's what they're looking for. And I'm pretty sure the reason it is, it keeps that water temperature a little bit cooler. Trout tend to kind of congregate a little bit more this time of year too. And they'll all group up in one spot like they are right here coming around this little rock jetty. Now in the winter time, I find they spread out a little more. That's when we do a lot of trolling back here. Cover some water. Oh my goodness, keep missing. A lot of times when you miss it a bunch, it means there's a lot of dinks in there, which we have definitely caught a few throwbacks already. So, but that first one felt pretty good. But when you fish this area in the winter time and you troll, and those are almost always going to be pretty big fish. I've caught them up to 7 pounds back here. Many of 5 and 6 pounders. They get some really big fish. Fish just love man-made canals or man-made structures. In the winter, you know, in the back, there's virtually no current. So obviously that's gonna, when the sun comes out, it's gonna make the water a little bit warmer. Get up here, that's a good one. Makes the water a little warmer, that's why they're back in the back. And in the winter times, you know, dead ends, they got some points and stuff back there, but it's not, the reason we have current here, because this is where everything comes out at one spot. I mean, I can visually see the current wrapping around the point. As you go in the back of the canal, you're just not gonna see that. All right, let's go ahead and thread a fresh one on. We put these X-Shads in a really nice package. They're a little bit more expensive than the Matrix. So we keep them nice. Want to make sure they're all nice and straight in that inner casing. We're just gonna simply go right in the middle of the head of the lure. About a 1/2 inch in. Once it hits them coils on that corkscrew, I just start wrapping it around the corkscrew. That's what holds that lure on for so long. Especially as we get in, as that water temperature rises, soft plastics in general just are gonna tear up more. But when you put this thing on that GoldenEye screw lock, that's when it really comes alive. That's when it looks like a real croaker. And this is just a bad, bad dude right here. Look how fat this little dude is. He's a keeper. This guy's eating his body weight right here. Thing is, he's heavy. He's heavy. Roll on back up at that point. What a beautiful morning today. Came out the pass. The flag was totally laid up on the pole, which is great conditions, obviously. Definitely going to stay away from the bridge, or at least the trestle today. If I try a bridge, it'd be one of the other two. The calmer the day, the busier the track can be, and the busier the whole estuary is. So I like to try, when it's days like this where it's just optimal, bluebird skies, slick calm, I like to try things that don't really get fished too often. And at least you kind of got it to yourself. he probably wasn't gonna make it anyway. But at least you get it to yourself. I'd much rather grind for 5 or 10 fish and be in some solitude than catch a limit amongst a gazillion boats. But we are on some fish right now though. That's a good thing. Our 2 first stops of the morning have been good choices. Got a hard falling tide. And I'm not gonna say like harder than I like, and I won't say the tide's slower than I like. I usually go to different areas depending on what the tide is telling me to do. So I'll target places that typically have a stronger tide when the tide's real slow and weak, and I'll target places where the tide doesn't really barrel through too bad to where it makes it unfishable when it's strong like it is right now. Now on a scale of 1 to 10 on how hard this tide's falling, it's probably like an 8. But these little rock jetty points that aren't in a terribly deep waterway, you can fish them on real hard tides. And these first two spots I tried this morning, I like them on hard falling tides. I've been fishing them for years. And when one spot has it, this other spot's right around the corner. You know, that's something that I highly recommend is if you catch a nice amount of fish in spot A and it slows up a little bit, well, look on your map and find something similar to it nearby. That means the fish are in that area. That means the water quality's good, bait's in the area, something's going on. They want to be there. So look for more spots that are similar to that in that zone. Well, we got some dinks. On some dinks right here. Had that one good one. Boy, you just did not see this in Lake Pontchartrain before that Mr. Go closure. This place used to be, you didn't really need a ruler. You caught a trout, it was a big one. There he is. All these fish are coming from the same exact angle and approach, throwing it up on that point. Right when I get to a little bit deeper water, there they go. There they go. Well, guys, get that fish there. Again on that croaker, X-Shad. Gorgeous fish right there. Hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. This is 3 trips in a row. I'm sorry, 3 spots in a row. Last video, we were on a rock jetty on the eastern Pontchartrain. And then on this trip, 2 different rock jetties. Just wanted to go over the importance of rock jetties, how good they can be, show you guys how good this croaker X-Shad is. I highly recommend this in the hotter months. That's when trout are spawning. And they're very notorious for like croaker, they love eating them. That people say that the croaker eat their trout eggs, so when they're spawning this time of year, that's what they go after a lot. It's definitely working today as we get into the beginning parts of the summer. Nice trout right here in the Pontchartrain Basin. No boats around. It is only like 7:30 in the morning. Video already made, but I want to go check some other stuff. If I stumble across something, we'll pop the camera back on and shoot the next Dockside TV. Make sure to subscribe to the monthly bait box. Get your hands on these croaker X-Shads, some golden-eye screw locks. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out all of our episodes out here across Lake Pontchartrain, guys. Until next time, good fishing.